window right there. And I feel like someone's gonna sneak up on that window and I'm gonna get jump scared. Hello everyone, my name is Traition, but you may call me Robbie for short, and today we'll be giving some Pokemon teams to more queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, in honor of our recently crowned Queen of all Queens, Jinkx Monsoon. This video will focus on Season 5. I've done multiple other videos like this, so you already know the gist. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, nerds! It fuels my ego. I'm gay. Give me attention. I'll be continuing with a Unova and Colors League approach, in which the first 2 gym leaders have 2 Pokemon, the next 6 will have 3 each, and the Elite 4 members have 4 Pokemon. We have 2 winners that come from this season, so each champion-ranked trainer will have a team of 6 Pokemon. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with our first eliminated queen, whose full drag name will be shortened to avoid demonetization and disapproval from my future mother-in-law who watches these videos. So let's simply refer to her as Penny. I didn't have much to go on when deciding a type for Penny since she only had 1 episode of screen time, but ultimately I landed on Grass type. Her team consists of Petalil based on her entrance look. This dress is what made me decide on her grass type specialty. Her dress is printed with a flower pattern that more or less looks like the flower that Lilligant, Petalil's evolution, has on its head. And her final Pokemon is Eldegoss, based on her promo look. I made this choice because of how her big hair bun resembles the cotton fluff on Eldegoss's head. Next, I wanted to talk about a queen who is in such a high caliber compared to the rest of the queens. But instead, we'll be talking about Serena ChaCha. Sue me for using the same joke twice if you've seen my All-Star 6 video. On my All-Star 6 video, I made Serena a flying type trainer, and I'm going to keep it that way. But I'm going to make some changes to fit with the storyline I've created for this series. Her All-Star 6 team consisted of Oricorio and Toucannon, but I think that before coming to All-Stars, Serena would have had the following team. Her first Pokemon is Fletchinder, based on her promo look for Season 5. Fletchinder is also a fire and flying type, just like Oricorio, but it's not fully evolved yet. I wanted her team to reflect that of a player who hasn't finished the main story of a regular Pokemon game. For that same reason, her second Pokemon is Trumbeak, based on the best drag runway category for Season 5. If All-Stars is the big leagues, then a regular season has to have less intimidating Pokemon for the first few battles. Therefore, we can de-evolve her Toucannon that I mentioned earlier. Our third gym leader is Monica Beverly Hillz, whom I assigned a rock type specialty, as she beat Serena ChaCha in a lip sync. Flying type Pokemon are weak to rock. Beverly Hillz is a city in California that has a relatively tropical climate. But her drag name is spelled with a Z because she wanted some spice in her name because she's Latina. So I tried to come up with a team that reflected that aspect of her drag. Her first Pokemon is Sudowoodo, based on her Think Pink runway. Sudowoodo is often mistaken as a plant in the Pokemon world, which we can tell from a side quest in Pokemon Legends Arceus because this guy wanted to pour water on it. He was so adamant to pour water on it, but rock types are weak to water, so that wouldn't work. The dress is covered with flowers at the shoulders, so I thought it was a fitting choice. Her second Pokemon is Lycanroc, based on her look for the best drag runway. Most of her runways this season were pink and very feminine, so I mostly focused on the dark colors of this outfit and the big hair that she's wearing here. Finally, her last Pokemon is Corsola, based on her look for the grand finale. I wanted this choice to resemble her femininity, as she is the first contestant to publicly come out as transgender during the taping of the show. Corsola is based on coral, which is a very fragile living organism, and this pink flowy dress makes her look softer, more delicate. Our fourth and fifth gym leaders are part of the series' first double elimination, Honey Mahogany and Vivienne Pinay. In this hypothetical Pokemon region, you would be able to challenge whichever one of the 2 you'd like first. For the sake of efficiency, I'll talk about them in alphabetical order, starting with Honey Mahogany, who I gave a bug-type specialty. I mostly focused on her drag name as honey is produced by bees, With that reasoning, her first Pokemon is Ribombee, based on her Trash Couture runway. Her look loosely resembles Ribombee's design, with its gold color scheme and brownish details. Ribombee is a respectable choice in battle, but like I mentioned before, Honey was a part of a double elimination, so I wanted to give her Pokemon that are commonly considered afterthoughts in the competitive scene. Her second Pokemon is Kricketune, based on her promo look. This was an easy choice to make. Honey is holding a lyre, an instrument resembling a small harp from ancient Greek times. I immediately thought of Kricketune because its body resembles a violin beetle, and it has one of the most memorable Pokemon cries in the entire game. Competitively speaking though, it has an atrocious base stat total of 384, compared to other fully evolved Pokemon that total well above 400. Her final Pokemon is Wormadam, based on her Think Pink runway. I continued with the pattern of underused competitive Pokemon, as Wormadam is not remarkably strong or bulky. I made this choice because it's one of the few pink bug Pokemon, and its ribbon-like arms loosely resemble Honey's flowy dress. Now let's move on to Vivienne Pinay, who I gave a normal type specialty, since her outfits had, I'm sorry to say, rather basic silhouettes, and she no longer does drag in the present day. Her first Pokemon is Dunsparce, based on her promo look. Just like Honey Mahogany, I wanted to give Vivienne competitively subpar Pokemon. Dunsparce fits that category since it's highly underused, probably due to its below average stats. But I like to think that its tail loosely resembles the spear that she's holding in this picture. Her next Pokemon is Bibarel, based on her Trash Couture runway. In her voiceover for this runway, she mentions how she's giving fish, which is a term that describes a drag performer as very much looking like a woman. Vivienne emphasized her fishiness throughout her time in the season, but I gave the water type to another queen later on. I figured this normal and water type was a pretty good fit, considering the look's color palette is similar to Bibarel's. Her final Pokemon is Audino, based on her Think Pink runway. Audino is another one of those Pokemon that are competitively unpopular, but it at least has some potential with its decent stats and abilities. Vivienne in this runway looks very feminine, and I like to think that the tutu is reminiscent of Audino's ears, and the color matches really well. Our sixth gym leader is the Latina diva from this season, Lineysha Sparx, whom I gave an electric type specialty. Remember when there used to be a Puerto Rican in every season? Those were the days. I can't give every contestant the same type, so I focused on her drag name for this choice. I wanted to give Lineysha a team that reflects her Caribbean heritage, so I gave her Pokemon that could be found in tropical environments. Her first Pokemon is a Alolan Raichu, based on her look for the best drag runway. Lineysha is wearing a swimsuit, which you would obviously wear for something like the beach. I picked Alolan Raichu because it looks like it's riding a surfboard. I mean, its ability is Surge Surfer, which doubles Raichu's speed stat. Her second Pokemon is Pincurchin, based on her entrance look. And I mostly chose this one because the dress is yellow, but Pincurchin works really well with Alolan Raichu due to its hidden ability Electric Surge, which summons electric terrain into the battlefield. Her final team member is Alolan Golem, based on her look for the grand finale. I associated the large rocks on top of Golem's body with the headpiece that Lineysha is wearing here, because I thought it looked like the headpiece was electrically charged. Our second to last gym leader is Jade Jolie, the only Drag Race contestant to date to appear on a season of the Boulet Brothers Dragula. I thought it would be cool to include her run on that show, so I gave her a dark type specialty. Disclaimer, I have never seen Dragula because I don't really like horror, but I did do my research for this part of the video. Her first Pokemon is Zoroark, based on her hairy monster look from Dragula Season 4. Jade Jolie's run on Dragula Season 4 parallels her run on Drag Race Season 5. Her track record consists of mostly safe placements, and never placing above that position. She placed safe 4 times on both shows before being eliminated on the 6th episode. Most importantly, however, both outfits in which she was eliminated have the same central theme of hair, and Zoroark is full of fur. I leaned more towards this Dragula look because her hair look from Drag Race is a lot more colorful. Her second Pokemon is Morgrem, based on her Nosferatu beach party look from Dragula Season 4. This choice was pretty simple, as both Nosferatu and Morgrem are demon-like creatures, even having similarly shaped noses. Morgrem is a dark and fairy type, which to me resembles what I said earlier about how Jade's appearances on both shows parallel each other. Morgrem's dark type resembles her run on Dragula for its darker themes, while the fairy type represents her run on Drag Race since her runways were more cutesy and feminine. Her final Pokemon is Alolan Persian, based on her deadliest Snatch runway from Drag Race Season 5. I'm not going to explain this choice because I don't want this video to get demonetized, but essentially the name of this runway category is the reason for the choice of Alolan Persian. The word Snatch here has a double meaning. And that's all I will say. I'll let you figure out the rest. We're down to our final gym leader, Ivy Winters, whom I gave, you probably guessed it because of her drag name, an ice-type specialty. Ivy spent 8.5 years performing in the circus, according to an article by Queerty from 2014, so I tried going for a circus theme for her team. I know I'm supposed to pronounce Ivy, but my my bilingual brain, my Puerto Rican side of my brain is saying Evie, as in Evie Queen, the queen of reggaeton, if you know who that is. Amazing person. Her first Pokemon is Galarian Mr. Mime, based on her Miss Congeniality successor look from Season 6. Ivy is the only queen on the show to ever walk on stilts, so I wanted to somehow include that on her team. I paired Galarian Mr. Mime with this look because of the dark blue tones on its body. Mr. Mime is also a prime example of a circus-themed Pokemon, since its evolutionary line is used by the Clown Trainer class in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Her second Pokemon is Dewgong, based on her Divalicious runway. I chose Dewgong because when I thought of circus, my mind quickly went to seals juggling with their noses, which is exactly what Dewgong does with Spheal in new Pokemon Snap. While this pairing doesn't look like it works at first glance, Ivy is wearing a headpiece that looks similar to the one that Pokemon with a Water Terra type have. You know, the one they showed us in the trailer that looks like a fountain? That one. Her final Pokemon is Abomasnow, based on her look for the RuPaul roast. This look reminded me of Poison Ivy from the DC comics, which might be where she got her drag name from, but I could not confirm that on the internet. And believe me, I searched. While Abomasnow, in my opinion, doesn't fit the circus theme, it does make sense with Ivy's drag name. Abomasnow is a grass and ice type, so that's Ivy for the grass type, and Winters for the ice type. With all our gym leaders covered, we move on to the Elite Four. After 8 gym battles, we move on to the Pokémon League, the toughest challenge for any trainer who aspires the coveted title of Pokémon League Champion. But first, they must defeat the members of the Elite Four. In this case, 4 of the runners-up from this season. We'll start with everyone's favorite, drop-dead gorgeous diva. She was a lovely 5th alternate. Her name is Alyssa Edwards, and this is Alyssa's Pokemon team. I didn't want to limit myself to only using the runways from the original season, so I included their looks from All-Stars since every queen beyond this point has been on an All-Stars season. Alyssa is one of the most well-known drag performers in the world, so I struggled with choosing a type specialty that worked with her funny yet unpredictable personality. Ultimately though, I landed on Dragon type for her extensive pageant background. Her first Pokemon is Haxorus, based on her company spokeswoman runway from Season 5. I mentioned Alyssa's pageant background as a reason for choosing her Dragon type specialty, because when I think of Alyssa, I think of her over-the-top runways. She reminded me of Iris, who we know is a Dragon type user, with an extravagant dress, and the champion from the Black 2 and White 2 games. I paired Haxorus with this runway because I think the dress's color scheme works pretty well. The look is green, just like Haxorus, although not an exact shade of green, and the red hair to me resembles the color of the tusks on its jaw. Haxorus's plate-like skin around its neck also looks like the shoulder pads on this look. Her second Pokemon is Tyrantrum, based on her promo look for All-Stars 2. This choice was pretty simple, since Tyrantrum's red color scheme rivals this look. I mainly focus on the Medici-like collar around Tyrantrum's neck, which resembles the one that Alyssa is wearing here. Her third team member is Noivern, based on her runway look from the 4th episode of Secret Celebrity Drag Race's first season. I debated on whether I should have included this, but I thought that this pairing worked so well that I couldn't pass it up. The choice is a perfect example of Alyssa's pageant drag. The details on the dress make it look like she has scales, which is standard for dragon lore. And I thought the puffs on her arms resembled Noivern's wings. And her final Pokemon is Hisuian Gudra, based on her Future of Drag runway from All Stars 2. Alyssa is such a powerhouse entertainer that I felt it was necessary to give her a pseudo-legendary. Hisuian Gudra is dragon in steel, compared to its pure dragon Colossian counterpart, which I thought worked pretty well considering the spikes she's wearing on her head and shoulders. There's a joke about shampoo in there somewhere. It's a rather ironic choice considering the name of this runway is Future of Drag, and the fact that this regional form is from a distant past, but I thought that Season 5 was old enough to include a Hisuian form in this video. Our next Elite Four member is the lip-sync assassin from this season, Coco Montrese, whom I gave a fighting type specialty, because I thought it would be fitting to give a team that could defeat the 3 queens she bested in a lip-sync battle. Coco sent home Monica Beverly Hillz, the rock-type gym leader, and Jade Jolie, the dark-type gym leader, both of which have weaknesses to fighting. The third lip-sync was against Alyssa Edwards, who we just talked about having a dragon-type team. The lip-sync was an intense battle that culminated the rivalry storyline for that season, with Coco ultimately coming on top. But since Dragon receives neutral damage from fighting-type moves, I thought it best to give Coco a formidable team that could rival Alyssa's. Her first Pokemon is Beware, based on her Think Pink runway from Season 5. This was an incredibly obvious choice. Beware matches the color scheme of this outfit really well, and a teddy bear that Coco is holding helps to sell the pairing even more. Her second Pokemon is Mienshao, based on her promo look for All Stars 2. Mienshao is one of those Pokemon that easily comes to mind when I think of glamorous, an adjective that I would very much use to describe Coco's drag. Mienshao's arms are meant to resemble water sleeves, which are the cuff extensions made of silk used in the Chinese opera. Since a lot of the garments she showcased are flowy, I thought Mienshao was a good choice, and it matches the look's color scheme pretty well. Her third Pokemon is Hisuian Lilligant, based on her Latina Eleganza runway from Season 5. I would be remiss if I somehow didn't include what I consider to be Coco's best moment during her time on Drag Race. Remember that lip sync I mentioned at the beginning of this section? This is the outfit she wore during that. Alyssa and Coco were longtime rivals before coming on the show. Everyone expected this lip sync to be amazing, and it was. And since Alyssa also has a Hisuian form on her team, I thought it was a good way to connect the two of them. I also chose Hisuian Lilligant for the flowers along her dress, and because the way Coco moves during this lip sync reminded me of the noble Lilligant's dancing prowess in Legends Arceus. Her final Pokemon is Gallade, based on her 2-in-1 runway, or re-entrance look from All Stars 2. Gallade is probably the key Pokemon on this team because of its versatile moveset and high attack stat. I mostly made this choice because the way her wig is styled kinda looks like Gallade's head, which is funny to me. Our next Elite Four member has had so much plastic surgery that she is legally considered a major pollutant anytime she enters a body of water. Thank you. I'm very proud of that joke. If you haven't guessed, I'm talking about Detox, which is very ironic because her type specialty is water. Hear me out. Detox was the very first queen I thought about when making this video, and I considered using poison types for her teams, but then I thought about how her drag name is short for detoxification, which, according to Google, is a process or period of time in which one abstains from or rids the body of toxic or unhealthy substances. In modern cases, the unhealthy substance is typically alcohol, which can be flushed out of your body with the help of water. Her first Pokemon is Azumarill, based on her promo look for Season 5. This was another reason why I made Detox a water-type specialist. Her promo shot is made to look like she's blowing bubbles, which is a common trope for water-type Pokemon. I chose Azumarill specifically, however, because of the bubble-like pattern on its belly. Her second Pokemon is Lumineon, based on her 2-in-1 runway from All-Stars 2. I mostly chose Lumineon because the color of and the pattern on its fins loosely matched those on Detox's look. Plus, I thought the hairpins kinda resembled Lumineon's fins in terms of its shape. Her third Pokemon is Tentacruel, based on her deadliest Snatch runway from Season 5. This choice, I'm sure everyone was expecting. This look is honestly the worst thing she's ever won on Drag Race, but it's also a very memorable moment because of how she lip-synced in this dress. This runway had a very unclear theme, but the look was supposed to be based on a jellyfish. Tentacruel has a dome-like head that's similar in shape to this dress, so it was a perfect choice for her team. Finally, her last Pokemon is Jellicent, based on her Divalicious runway from Season 5. As a double whammy, I gave her another jellyfish Pokemon because the last pairing was so good. Our final Elite Four member is none other than the thick and juicy queen herself, Roxxxy Andrews. When I think of Roxxxy, the color red comes to mind, and since she's very proud to be Latina, I thought a fire-type specialty would be perfect for her. Her first Pokemon is Salazzle, based on her Trash Couture runway from Season 5. I figured I would include one of the challenges she won as part of this section. The challenge was to make a stunning look made out of trash, or unconventional materials. Pokemon very obviously associates trash with poison, so I thought Salazzle was a good choice. Her second Pokemon is Ninetales, based on her talent show performance look from All-Stars 2. I settled on this choice for a couple of reasons. Her windswept hair kinda looks like Ninetales' mane on the top of its head. The feather boa resembles the fur around its neck, and the golden white fur kinda matches the color on Roxxxy's coat. Her third Pokemon is Chandelure, based on her finale Glamorama runway from All-Stars 2. Roxxxy's runway looks are always very glamorous, and a lot of times shiny, just like this one. Chandelure is based on a chandelier, which tend to be full of shining crystals. I also thought that the lilac wig that Roxxxy is wearing loosely resembles Chandelure's color scheme. Her final Pokemon is Oricorio, based on her 2-in-1 look from All-Stars 2. This one was absolutely obvious. Oricorio's baile style is based on flamenco dancing, which originates from Spain. Roxxxy's outfit definitely takes inspiration from this folkloric art form, and is the look that, to me, immediately defines Roxxxy as a drag performer. Remember how I gave Serena ChaCha a Fletchinder earlier? If you've seen my All-Star 6 video, I gave Serena an Oricorio. To fit with the lore for this video series I've created, I like to think that Serena included an Oricorio on her team after seeing how well Roxxxy performed with it in battle. With our Elite Four members covered, we finally move on to our champion-ranked trainers. As I mentioned before, we have 2 champion-ranked trainers for this season. During a regular Pokemon playthrough, however, you would only be facing 1 champion for this final challenge. In honor of her most recent All-Stars reign, let's start with the former Pokémon League Champion from this season, Jinkx Monsoon. If you've been following this Drag Race Pokemon series, you've probably already seen my video on All-Stars 7, which means you probably already know some of the Pokemon on her team. But we're going to cover those anyway for the benefit of those who haven't seen my previous video. Jinkx's first Pokemon is Delphox, which I had based on her all glowed up runway from All-Stars 7. During my preparation for the All-Stars 7 video, I already had a few choices laid out, but as soon as I saw this runway, I immediately chose this. This look is based on the Salem Witch Trials, historical event from 1692 in which people, mostly women, were prosecuted for practicing witchcraft and consequently burned at the stake for their crimes. This lore is also the inspiration for Delphox as a Pokemon design. Jinkx has always considered herself to be a witchy character, so it was a perfect choice for her. Her second Pokemon is Mismagius, which I had based on her look for the Graduation Speeches challenge from All-Stars 7. With Mismagius, we continue the witch theme here, as Jinkx is wearing a mage hat and robe in this look. She even made a joke about graduating from a witch school. The third Pokemon I gave her was Sandslash, which I had based on her Sparx runway from All-Stars 7. This look is based on a porcupine and was actually designed by Ben Delacreme, who frequently works and goes on tour with Jinkx. Sandslash isn't specifically based on a porcupine, but it borrows physical traits from one. It's an unconventional choice for sure, but it provides a bit of versatility on her team. Now that we've recapped the members that we already knew about, let's cover the rest of her team, which I'm sure you probably guessed because most fans online unanimously agree. Her fourth Pokemon is Swanna, based on her mantra, water off a duck's back, which she would say before receiving critiques from the judges. Swanna is technically based on a swan, but it does evolve from Ducklet. I thought Swanna was the most appropriate choice for Jinkx, since all the other duck Pokemon aren't as graceful. Her fifth Pokemon is Snorlax, because she obviously needs a sleeping companion. Hello! Jinkx suffers from narcolepsy, which is a chronic sleep disorder that causes one to be overwhelmingly drowsy or even fall asleep at random, inappropriate times. If you've played the original Pokemon Red and Blue, or even seen the anime, Snorlax literally blocks the road because it falls asleep, and the only way to wake it up is to play a song on a Pokeflute. Snorlax is the most perfect choice for Jinkx, and this is without question. Her final Pokemon is Carbink, which I based on her promo look for All-Stars 7. With Carbink being a rock and fairy type Pokemon, we continue the theme of witchcraft, which occasionally incorporates the uses of crystals and gemstones. It's also a nod to Jinkx's role as Emerald in the Lars of the Stars episode from Season 5 of Steven Universe. In my All-Stars 7 video, I gave all the queens a legendary or mythical Pokemon, in addition to the Pokemon teams they already had. In Jinkx's case, I gave her 2 because she was the winner, the queen of all queens. One of those 2 legendary or mythical Pokemon was Diancie, which is canonically born from a Carbink that undergoes a mutation. I like to think that as a Pokemon champion for Season 5, she had this Carbink as part of her team. After Alaska received her win on All-Stars, or took over Jinkx's spot as champion, Jinkx's Carbink went through this mutant process and eventually turned into the Diancie from the All-Star 7 video. You really gotta keep up with these videos now because the lore is intertwined. I promise, these are really fun to make. Now let's move on to the current Pokemon League champion for this region, Alaska. At last, one final challenger stands before you in hopes of defending the coveted title of Pokemon League Champion. Alaska was not the winner of Season 5, but she went on to win the following All-Star season. We'll start by building a team around her first Pokemon, Garbodor, based on her Trash Couture runway from Season 5. Alaska is so well known for this runway that she walked into the workroom during her run on All-Stars with a new and reimagined garbage bag look. Before her champion status, I like to think that she was a poison-type specialist, which would make Garbodor her main partner. Her second Pokemon is Primarina, based on her deadliest snatch runway from Season 5. This one was a pretty easy choice to make, as this dress is meant to look like a mermaid. Primarina is also known for being a songstress, as shown by her signature Z move, Oceanic Operata. Alaska has a prominent music career, though she doesn't have the voice of an angel. Her albums are still well known within the queer community. Her third Pokemon is probably one of the most important on her team, Sandaconda, based on the hate comments she received after her win on All-Stars. Alaska received heavy backlash after her crowning because most everyone wanted Katya to win, a different fan favorite contestant in the same All-Star season who finished as a runner-up. She was called a snake so many times that she even posed with a boa constrictor. Continuing with this snake theme, her fourth Pokemon is Serperior, based on her promo look for All-Stars 2. The promo theme for this All-Star season was a royalty with style inspiration seemingly drawn from the Elizabethan era. Alaska's look in particular has a collar similar to what Serperior has. Serperior is classified as a regal Pokemon, so I thought it was a very fitting choice for Alaska. Her fifth choice is Metagross, based on her Future of Drag runway from All-Stars 2. This is arguably one of her best runways on the show. Her fingers are attached to bendable metal appendages, which reminded me of Metagross's 4 legs. Almost every champion in the Pokemon franchise has a pseudo-legendary, so I always try to pair Drag Race winners with them if I think they'll work well together. And lastly, we have Alaska's final Pokemon, Honchkrow, based on her makeover look from All-Stars 2. She wore a Pamela hat that looks like Honchkrow's feather crest, which resembles a fedora, and a feather boa that reminds me of Honchkro's dark blue edge. Alaska wore a similar attire during her Snatch Game performance as Mae West, which felt like a confirmation that this choice works really well for her. I always have a lot of fun doing these, so if you enjoy these, please give a like, comment, share, all that YouTube stuff that helps the algorithm know that you look forward to future videos like this. I encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss the videos for other Drag Race seasons, as well as some regular Pokemon content coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!